So let's talk about Aquamarine for a second, because I know this is a role that people adore you for, and I did watch this movie.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
When? Like recently?
I did it before talking to you. I threw it on with my 4-year-old, and he loved it, and
Oh,
we
so
watched
sweet.
it. Yeah, it was great, and you are great in it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
it's yourself and it's Emma Roberts and singer JoJo, who I did not
Hmm.
realize was now I guess a very well-known pop star
Hmm.
in her own right. This made you a movie star. Was that a jarring experience to become so known and associated with a single role?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it didn't feel.
Is it been mostly good?
It's been good. I mean, I didn't feel like, you hear stories about like Leonardo DiCaprio being mobbed after Titanic and he couldn't even like go anywhere and like people were ripping his clothes off. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like I had an amazing experience. It was, I mean, filming that movie was like one of the best experiences of my life, and I feel so,
That's great.
yeah, I'm so grateful. What other 17-year-old gets to like fly to Australia, make all these new friends, like have this wonderful experience?
Hmm.
Um, it was great, and then I came back, and occasionally, girls would come up to me at the mall and be really excited. And that was
Yeah.
really it. Just, it was nice. It was nice for people, girls my age and younger, just being like, "We love the movie," and it felt pretty sweet, and it didn't feel really jarring at all.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah. So now, wait,
Yeah.
why Australia? Why? I mean, this is a movie from what I can tell. I mean, you could have shot this in somewhere in California. Like all you needed was some beach, right? A beach town somewhere.
Yeah.
Why Australia?
I don't know. I think at the time a lot of things were being shot in Australia. Warner Brothers has like a big lot down there, big soundstage lot, and um, I do remember that originally the script called for the three of us swimming at the Great Barrier Reef. We were actually going to film that, like
Wow.
underwater, like the two girls in scuba gear and me, like in the tail swimming at the Great Barrier Reef, and that sounded amazing. It ended up not being safe, I think, so
Hmm.
it didn't make it. Maybe that's why. I'm not really sure. Um, but it was great. I mean, I loved
Yeah.
it.
I mean, why not
Got
go to
to
Australia? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I got to live there for like 4 months. Um, it's interesting because in order to get cast in the movie, they made me get my GED because I would have to be worked the hours of an adult.
Right.
Um, so I filmed all the hour, I filmed adult hours,
Oh,
and
interesting. Oh, so
when you,
this was like a way. This was like a workaround so that they could work you the
yeah,
amount of hours they wanted to work you. Oh my gosh.
yeah, I had to film adult hours because the amount of time in prosthetics to get in and out would have. Because I think, when you're a kid, I don't really know the exact math on it, but as a teenager, you can only work like 10 hours or
Yes, I
something.
remember that. Yeah.
And you have to have a certain amount of schooling in between the day, like in the middle of the day and before and blah, blah, blah. So there just wasn't enough hours in the day to do prosthetics, shoot, and, and fit in school. So I was teaching myself, like I was still in regular high school. So I was like emailing with all my teachers and trying to teach myself chemistry like on Saturdays.
Amazing. That's a lot to be doing. Yeah. Were you good at
It was a
chemistry?
lot.
I was so bad at chemistry.
I I was pretty good actually. I mean, I got an A, so I guess that was good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're
But
smart. You're so much smarter than I am.
no, no. I mean, don't ask me about math. I could not. I could never do math. I can't do math. Can't
Okay.
do math. Everything would be great except for that. But which is why was I good at chemistry then? I don't know.
Well, I was gonna
But
ask, but then I thought, well, like I don't know. Maybe I didn't understand chemistry so much that I thought it was all about math, and I got it completely wrong.
no, I don't know. But yeah, that was sort of my schedule on that.
So
But
so now you're in this tail mermaid outfit. How what was that? I mean, like, because I often think about acting like, or when you're shooting when you're doing a show of any kind, movie or or TV series, and you're in prosthetics for hours and hours. There's this question that comes up about like comfort and like how cold is it to do the shoot. Like you're in the water for this movie a lot. Like how cold was it, or physically uncomfortable to be in this suit for that amount of time?
I mean, it was pretty getting into it meant like, I'm 16 and I'm buck naked, like laying on the table, and they're putting the thing on me. And it would take like 4 hours to get in and a couple hours to get out.
Oh my gosh, that's a
And
lot to put on a 16-year
yeah,
old.
yeah. And like, what am I trying to say? Like the line where the suit, like where I go into it, is like really low, like crotch low. So there's like people very close to my crotch, like women, and super respectful, and nothing, nothing weird happened at all. I always felt safe. Just like
Good.
what teenager isn't like super self-conscious and like weirded out
Oh
by
my
like
god.
anyone just even looking at them fully clothed. You know what I
Right.
mean? If anybody even looked at me, I'd be like, oh, like, don't look at me. So to be like laying on this table, and my character is supposed to be topless with hair like covering my nipples. Because I was a child, they put this like prosthetic, like latex fake boob over my real boob.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that I had like no nipples. So if my hair moved or whatever, it wouldn't like
Wouldn't be a
expose me.
problem.
So
Yeah.
I still felt like pretty exposed though. I still felt pretty exposed. But other than that, oh, and I couldn't go to the bathroom, so I would just
Oh my
like pee
god.
on
Yeah.
myself in the tail. I remember I like
Really? Oh my god. I'm so
oh
sorry.
yeah. I like swam up to like the prosthetics team like in the middle of filming, and I was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. Like, what do I do? And they're like, just go, mate, just go. And I was like, what? And they were like, just swim in the corner and do it. And I was like, no,
Oh my
everyone's
god.
looking at me. And I like swam in the corner, and everyone's like eyeballing me, like whispering. And I'm like, they know I'm
Oh
peeing.
my
They know I'm
god.
peeing right now.
This is a nightmare. It's
Yeah, so I'm just like peeing on myself
the
in front of
indignity.
everyone. I know, yeah, but it was so much fun. It was worth it. But just to be a teenager, everything makes you so self conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um so I'm curious, what was the audition process for that role? That to me it feels like one of those roles that maybe they did like a national search for the right person. Was that the situation or was it different?
I think so. I mean, I don't really know. I remember when I went in, I think Jessica Simpson had just dropped out or something.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I went in, and yeah, it was, like a several multi-day process, many auditions.
Yeah.
Actually, I think my audition is on YouTube, which is so embarrassing.
Ooh.
You
Is
can,
it
yeah.
embarrassing or should we show
Well,
that to our audience?
you
Should we
can show
find it?
it. Yeah, you watch it. Yeah, I think that day I was going in for like I read for the audition, and I guess they liked me, and they brought me back to read with the director Elizabeth Allen and the producer Susan Kartsonis, and I think that day like something really embarrassing had happened to me at school. I was in high school. I was in 10th grade, and I was like walking past this boy that I had a crush on. I was obsessed with him, and I tripped on my flip flop or some shit and like ate it, and he like laughed at me. And then I went to the audition, so like my ego was bruised, and they were like, how was your day today? And I think I started crying, and I was like, this boy that I'm in love with
Oh my god.
saw me fall, and it hurts so, and I started crying, and they were like, I guess they really liked that, because after that they gave me the part.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
The now you said earlier you were talking about the female crew on the set. I think I read that it was a mostly female crew, or
It was.
is that right? So
Well, yeah, female director, mostly female cast. I remember there being a lot of female crew members. I remember thinking like, wow, this is the most like women I've ever worked with on one project, which was awesome. It
that's
was
great.
nice.
What
Yeah.
was can you describe like what that felt like as compared to other sets where maybe it's majority men or just certainly not majority women?
Right. Well, I mean, not, listen, I've definitely had some, I've been lucky in that, like, I've never had an experience that's been truly, terrible. Like, nothing really bad ever happened to me, which is, you know,
That's good.
I'm very thankful for, and especially like being a child actor, you hear so many things, and so
Right, right.
I'm lucky that I had parents that were just like uh, eyes on me, like 24/7, making sure nothing bad ever happened to me. But there have been some like dicey situations where things were said that were disrespectful or whatever. And
Hmm.
so it's, I guess the difference is like working with all women. Like I just don't. I know that's not gonna. I just feel you just feel totally like safe.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even think it's something like that consciously. It's not something you're conscious of. But I don't need to worry like, ooh, is this guy about to like say something that I have to like giggle and be like, ha ha, I'm
Right.
totally okay with that. Because I'm 19 and have no idea how to react to, these kinds of comments.
Yeah.
But he's just like more relaxed and, yeah, it just felt like fun and open and safe and, just was nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I mean, on the one hand, it's like if anyone's being an asshole, then the tendency then is for people, I think, to shut down, right?
Hmm.
And if you shut
Yeah.
down, particularly when you're trying to do something creative, it's really not a good situation because you don't feel you don't have as much fun like coming up with ideas for the
You're so right. Yeah, I've definitely had situations where I don't know. I look back and I'm like, was I being a baby? Was I being a baby in that situation where like maybe it wasn't as like friendly or open of a set and you're
yeah, just
right. Like
yeah.
you're right. Like if I mean I'm sure you can relate to this, but like if you're on a set where like everyone's cool and everyone's nice and and everyone is, you can trust people and you feel like they're
Mm.
really your friend. You just kind of feel more open and ready to like act and like do this thing, and
Yeah.
you do feel kind of closed off. I mean, I did a movie called The Last House on the Left, which is
Right.
yeah, a horror movie, and that was a really tough shoot, but an amazing shoot because we all became so close, and I I'm so glad that happened because I had to do some like pretty emotionally difficult things in that movie, and I just couldn't have done it if everybody wasn't so open and kind and I just the trust. You need
Yeah.
trust. You need trust is I
You
guess the
do.
bottom line.
Yeah, and I think yeah, and I've that word has come up now on this in this series a few times and it really does seem I mean acting to begin with is such a bizarre and weird thing that we do.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and I
true.
think it's like for people who are outside of this business when they think like being an actor it's like we'll just be a person. But of
Yeah.
course it's so much more complicated than that. Because to fully be a person that's not you requires understand like having a real understanding of like what that feels like for somebody completely different from you from moment to moment with a completely
Yeah.
different history. And even if you are playing a character that's very close to who you are, then you're still being required to give a lot of vulnerable stuff that's your own feelings.
Mhm.
It's our bodies up there doing it.
Yeah. You're so right. It's like you have to simultaneously have like the thickest skin,
Hmm.
but be so vulnerable and like ready to like rip yourself open at any moment. And it's a really difficult balance, I think.
Yeah. Now you've won two Young Artist Awards. You also received a Daytime Emmy nomination for your work on the Discovery series Darcy's Wild Life.
Yeah, I did. I lost to Elmo. And if you have to lose a daytime Emmy to someone, it might as well be
It
Elmo.
might as well be Elmo.
Um,
Yeah.
it was just super creepy because I'm like at the ceremony, I'm really excited, and like you're like, how the fuck is Elmo going to accept the award? And the actor that plays Elmo like walks up and then squats behind the podium and pretends to be Elmo, and the magic was ruined a little bit, but if Elmo deserves it, okay,
Elmo does.
Elmo
You're
des-
so bitter about a Muppet. It's so funny. Fuck that guy.
Fuck
Do
Elmo.
you remember what was that like getting that call though? Like you're nominated for an Emmy, or
I
was
don't
it an
know.
email?
I don't even. I think it was a phone call. I think I was excited. I don't.
Yeah,
Again, like I was. I think when you're young, like you're just kind of like. I was just kind of going with the flow. I wasn't like, holy shit, like I am amazing. I was just like, oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Let's go to the daytime Emmys. And now I'm like, wow, that was a really big accomplishment. Like, good for you. Why didn't
yeah.
you take that in a little more? But I think that's just being, what was I? I think I was 17 or 18. I was just like, oh, cool.
Wow.
Look, there's Elmo. Elmo beat me, whatever. Um,
Elmo beat me.
I
I'll get
also
him
am
back.
obsessed
I'll
with
get
the
him back one day.
Muppets, so I respected it. I
Yeah.
respected it because I'm
Yeah.
only an actor because of the Muppets. Like,
Oh, is that
literally.
right?
Oh, yes, because of Fraggle Rock. I wanted to be a Fraggle, and that was my goal. I think I accomplished it.
Good for you. I feel I'm happy for you, and I think you're gonna. By the way, I think you're gonna have that opportunity to be nominated for an Emmy again and other awards. I think you'll get your cathartic
Oh,
moments
thank you.
with those
What if
nominations
I
and
get up
wins.
there and I'm just like, is Elmo here? Like, fuck that
I think you
guy.
got it.
Like,
You've got to tell everybody that you lost to Elmo. I think that's a winner of a speech.
just like mic drop.
You also did an episode of MTV's Cribs,
Oh my
all the way
God.
back in 2007. Sorry to look that up, but I was curious.
You
I mean,
know how I said earlier about those moments when you're driving and you just go ah, and because you remember
yeah,
something embarrassing of your life. Yeah, mine's MTV Cribs. So,
it's not that at all, but it is the show. It is what the show was. I think
are
that
you kidding me? I wish my episode was the show. I think my episode of Cribs was the lamest episode of Cribs that ever happened. That ever was. Have you seen it? Oh my God! No,
I
you
watched
haven't
it.
seen
I
it.
did watch it. I was
No, I didn't even know what to talk about. I didn't even. I was like, "What do you mean they're gonna come here? Like in
yeah,
our home? Like
yeah.
what did I show them? I showed them my bottle of Cholula.
Yeah,
Like
that's great.
and
That was a great moment. You also showed him a battery that was in your freezer,
oh my God,
which
like
I thought was
such
that was
adorable.
real as shit and really charming.
I was just like, hope you guys enjoy my non-mansion, like with my stuffed animal collection as I'm 17 years old. Like, oh gosh.
Now you did after the teen movies, you did a number of horror movies. You talked about The Last House on the Left, which was a very famous remake, and then you also did a movie
Yeah.
called The Innkeepers, amongst others.
Hmm.
You talked about having fun on horror films, but you've also talked, I heard, about not being like good at screaming or running or things that
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
need to be good at you in your perspective in these horror films. Like how do you I completely understand that. I think I would be bad too, although I probably would be great. Um to be I
No,
think,
yeah, I literally can't scream, and I don't advertise that when I'm auditioning for horror films for obvious, I'm not going to be like, hey, I can't do this thing that's necessary to win this role. But when I get to set and it's like, okay, you're gonna run, you're gonna jump over the fence, you're gonna trip, you're gonna hit your hand and be like, oh no, help me, and then just blood curdling scream and action. I'm like, well, okay, here's the thing. I can't scream. And they're like, just try. Like, just let it rip. Let it rip. Do what you can. I'm like, okay. And I really sound like a Muppet when I'm screaming. Like, I think they've had to like dub a scream over me before because I just can't do
oh,
that
that's
piercing scream.
funny.
I'm just like,
Yeah, it just comes out like
"Ah!"
ah, yeah. I can see the
um,
Kermit the Frog arms waving in the air.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely Kermit. It's 100% Kermit the Frog. Actually, when I was doing the Innkeepers, the director Ty West just started calling it like the Costanza, like whatever like weird awkward shit I was doing. He'd like, okay, and then go over there, stand there, don't pull a Costanza, just like try and be like any like non Costanza just is good for this part. Then over there, then you can be Costanza. Let it rip. And I'm like, okay, got it. Like, so don't be myself over there.
Oh my
Just
god.
act cool.
What is that like going in for those auditions? Because I find those to be some of the hardest, where it's like,
Oh God.
because you're trying, and we've talked with some of the other folks on here, we've talked a little bit about that thing of like, you want to be present in the room. You don't want to be still kind of like busy running your lines. You want to be able to say like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for, great, thanks for having me in. And then you go into the work, and it's like, if you're doing comedy, I think that feels, or even drama, like that feels okay. But when you have to go into like that little bit of business that you just said, like the character has to jump over something, and then they trip and fall, and they let out a blood curdling shriek. Like oftentimes, like that's the audition, and you've got square feet of room to do that in for camera. How do those auditions go for you?
I mean, I've had so many experiences. I was just talking about this today with my husband because he has an audition for something where he has to scream, and we were talking about it, and I've had both experiences. Like, I think I'm better at it now because, like I said, like I I'm a little older, and I just force myself not to care. I'm like, just get in there and do it. The script will be like, her leg is ripped off, the bone is exposed, and then it's me just being like, my leg! Ah!
You just start narrating it's ripped off to the bone.
It's literally ripped off. And so I'm just like, just go for it as hard as you can, because then it'll just be over, and you did it and you went for it. But I've had experiences like when I was younger and I went in for a horror movie, and in the audition, like the scene was like, she wakes up from being unconscious. She's in a dungeon surrounded by the corpses of the previously kidnapped girls, or like whatever, and then it's me being like, oh my God, like starting to panic or scream and cry. It's like, I do the scene, and the director's like, okay, do it again, but this time, dead bodies all around you. Like, they're all around you. And I'm like, did I not? Oh, I thought I did that.
Right. Or they'll say, one of the things I think they'll say a lot, right, is, or they'll be like, can you do it again, but can you be even more scared? Do you get that one a lot?
Yeah, well, yeah, I do get that. But to me, like, it really pisses me off when you just get, like, them telling you again, like, more, harder, like, what the plot is. Like, I read the scene, I get it. Like, there's like, my leg is ripped off. I get it. Like, I didn't forget it. I did it. So, but yeah, more scared. Yeah, no more, even more. I had an audition last year for something that like I was being attacked by a shark, and like I am always being cast afraid in water. Like, if I go in for an audition and there's a body of water and I'm afraid, like I know that I'm gonna nail it. I just know I'm gonna do a good job.
Right.
I don't know what it is about me in the water and being afraid. And I thought I was like doing so great, and then the director was like, okay, but like more, even more, bigger. And by the end of it, I was just like on the floor flailing, like like kicking my legs. Like I flung a chair. I didn't get the part.
I think it's like, also it's this thing in the business part of it where it's like you do that one, like you were a mermaid in one movie, so then the takeaway is not like romantic. She's great for romantic comedies. The takeaway is like, she's good with being in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, because after that I did so many movies in the water. Like Last House on the Left, I played a swimmer, like a athlete swimmer. And I get shot in the water and like crawl, through the lake. And then I did a shark horror movie called Shark Night, where I'm afraid in the water with sharks again. And wasn't there something else that I did in the water? I think I did something else in the water. I can't remember. But I'm just always being like waterboarded or like drowned, like captured or whatever, like something in the water. So
yeah, it just seems like Hollywood's takeaway. It's like they choose the one thing from the thing that you did that like was not the important thing to what you want to do.
It's just that maybe I'm a strong swimmer or something.
Yeah, like she loves being in the water. Let's get her more water stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not a very, very good swimmer, so the joke's on them.
There you go. Okay, so your husband, Zach Kreger?
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations. You got married in October, you said.
I did, yeah. Thank you.
And you met working together? Is that how you met?
Yeah, we met in 2012. We did this movie together, this indie comedy called The Bounce Back. In Austin, Texas, and we met there. And our characters were exes who despised each other, but then end up getting back together at the end of the movie. And it was so fun, and one of like the best experiences I've had filming. Austin is, I just love it there. Everyone does. It's so great. And so we became friends, and then like I knew I had a crush on him, but we were hanging out as friends the whole time. Like nothing happened, just friends. And we came back to LA, and like we were still hanging out, and I was like, "What is the deal? Like like why are we hanging out so much? Like is there something here? Like is there something between us? Like we're going to all these dinners all the time." And we were
You were
acting
going
like
on dates and you didn't realize you were going on dates?
yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, what is going on? Is this a date or not? And then we were like at the valet waiting for our cars, and this like very intoxicated man like walked up and started like yelling at Zach, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, buddy, I'm on a date here. Can't you see?" And I was like, "That guy knows before me." I was like, "I want a date."
Wow.
Yeah, and that was how it began.
So that's how he let you know that this indeed was a date, like that some intoxicated guy was coming up to you and then he was like, hey, buddy, I'm on a date here.
No, I don't know. He was like, he was having a. This guy was having a rough night. Like I don't know if he was like, he was out of his mind. He just like he was talking to himself and like came up to start yelling at Zach for some reason. I think he was. I don't know, but he was. This guy was having a rough day and just started yelling, and so Zach was like, "Whoa, dude, I'm on a date here," and then he just like kept walking.
That's a very smooth way for Zach to let you know that he's interested, and he waited for the perfect moment to take it that next step of.
I know. I'm like, what if he hired that guy? What if it's just like a UCB guy that just like, was
Would
just, like,
you
really
believe
good at
that, would Zach do stuff like that?
No, no, no way. He didn't even understand why I was like, "Excuse me," and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "A date?" And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah." I was like, "Okay."
That's very sweet.
I was very sweet.
That's a
No,
really
it was.
sweet moment. And you
Yeah, yeah.
so you, except for that poor guy who ended up probably
I know. I hope
face
he's
down in the
okay
gutter
wherever
somewhere.
he is. I know he was having a rough one. He was having a rough day.
R.I.P. to that guy.
Yeah.
So then you went on. So then Zach had done this show Wrecked, which is one of my favorite comedies. I think of the last maybe I can't remember in recent memory. It's such a great show. He's great on it. And
It's so good, right?
oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. And
Yeah.
a very good buddy of mine, Will Greenberg, was also on that show. And
Love
I
him.
love him. And he and Nikki just had their first kid.
I know. I know. Congrats to them.
Very exciting. They shot that series in Fiji.
Yeah. Well,
Not
the
maybe
pilot.
the second season, right?
Yeah, the pilot in the first season was in Puerto Rico, and then Zika hit, and I think a lot of the
Right.
cast felt uncomfortable. They didn't want to go there because of Zika, and so then they moved production to Fiji for the second season.
Yeah. Now you guest starred on the series, correct?
I did, yeah. They asked me to come in and play. Season two, they started doing like background stories on each of the characters. They get trapped on the island,
Yeah.
and you start knowing more about them, their lives before the island.
Wrecked was this parody of Lost, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the characters, played by Brooke Dillman, who is so funny, they jump into flashbacks of her life, and she like used to be in this Amish like cult or something, and she escaped the cult, and so I play like one of her cult sisters, and I was like in a bonnet and like like an apron and like long outfit, like high necked outfit, and I'm like, sister, Sister Mary or whatever, like we can't escape, and we're like running through the cornfield, and it was really fun. It was cool.
How, how
I was happy they asked me to do
Yeah,
that.
totally. Well, and also then you get to spend a little bit of time together, the two of you. Now, what was that? What was Fiji like? I'm curious because Fiji is one of those places that I think a lot of folks think of as like, I don't know, like a sort of like Fiji only exists in the movies. Like it's this tropical kind of like paradise of like what was Fiji like?
I think that to visit Fiji as a honeymooner, or as you're on your vacay, is a lot different than to work there. And I whatever, I just worked for like a day, so I certainly am not the best person to speak to this, but every time I would visit, the cast was like, they're working really hard. I mean, they're in the jungle. It's like beyond hot. It's so hot. I mean, people were, the first season, the first day, they had to reshoot everything of that day because they were so unprepared for the level of humidity and heat. People were dropping like flies left and right,
Wow,
passing out,
really?
vomiting into the bushes, just like collapsing. Nobody was prepared. Nobody knew how hot it was going to be. So by season 2, they were more prepared and understood like how like really tough and dangerous that level of heat is. But it's, I think, like, you're 3 months, you're working like 15 hours a day in that heat. They would all come home like bedraggled, covered in dirt and like fake blood. And then it's like
Yeah,
a honeymoon couple like kissing on their balcony, like all romantic, like in candlelight. And so it's kind of like a funny thing. But I loved it. I mean, are you kidding me? For me, the experience was perfect because I just went in, I shot my 2 days, and then I was there for like 3 weeks, and I was just on vacation.
oh, that's
I was
great.
there with Nikki. Me and Nikki, Will's wife, would just like sit by the pool every day, like drinking rosé, lounging about while
Nice.
everybody else was like working off in the jungle somewhere.
That's
And
great.
so I loved it. I thought it was great.
Was
I mean,
there
it's
a lot
beautiful.
of
It's
was
it's
there a lot of
gorgeous.
partying with that group of folks?
I think there was a lot of partying going on. Once again, I was in the room, not
You were?
involved.
Oh no, come on. You found someone put a board game in your hand?
Yes, I swear. Again, I think this is a theme for me. I was not there for the partying. I was just like, I think I was watching like a documentary from Netflix, like in my
Oh,
room.
come on. For 3 weeks in Fiji. All right. Okay. All right. So
Well,
we'll.
the partying happens during the day in Fiji, by the pool.
Oh
So,
yeah, sure. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to going at some point. Did you have to do, like, when you're doing a flight like that? Are you doing like a Xanax and a glass of wine, or are you just, what do you do on a long flight? You did that. You were down in Australia. When you take these incredibly long flights, what's your, do you like flying?
I don't mind it. I mean, look, I mean, the perk of working is that you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
They are flying you first class. So like last House on the Left, we filmed in South Africa. I flew like 35
Wow.
hours, but it was all first
Oh my
class. So it was
gosh.
amazing. Are you kidding me? Like I would never get to experience that in real life ever, if not for the production. So I take advantage of it. I'm like, I have a glass of wine. They're like, you want to get a foot massage? I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, give me the hot towel. I'm
Yeah.
like, Sunday, hell yes, I'll take the Sunday. My mom is the, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, she was always like, you never say no. Like when you get on the plane and they offer you the thing, you say yes, you take it. You always say yes. So I just be like, yes. Like, you want a second champagne? I'm like, yes. Yes. Like it's like instilled in me now to just take everything.
Got it. I like that attitude.
Yeah.
So okay, so now we were talking about your teen movies, and we talked about your horror movies, and now you're sort of moving into, what would you call these, are more, would you call these films that you're doing now a little bit more of the adult variety?
I think so.
You did this,
Yeah, I definitely think so.
you did this Jason Reitman film called The Front Runner,
Hmm.
starring Hugh Jackman, and you had a very notable role in this film, playing the other woman. Is that right?
Yeah, I played a woman named Donna Rice,
That's
who
right.
it's so weird. It's a really weird experience playing somebody who is alive and well and like can watch your performance and
Right.
listen to you talk about them. So it always feels kind of strange. Like I hope I'm like doing it justice, talking, about them, for them, about experience that they lived through actually. But yeah, I played Donna Rice, who was allegedly the other woman in the scenario. It was never admitted, it was never confirmed by either party, so we don't really know. But,
Oh, is
people
that right? Oh,
assume.
I didn't know that. So this is a story about a politician named Gary Hart
Hmm.
who did he run for Congress in Colorado?
He was a senator,
He
but
was a senator.
he was running for president.
Oh, he
He was
was. He was running for president. 1988.
Yeah, well, he ran. Oh my gosh, sorry, it's been so long since I can't believe I don't remember this. I read every book on it, and it was like my world for so long. But I think he ran in '84. Like he didn't make it as he wasn't the Democratic nominee. Like he didn't make it that far. But he was running for president in '84 and didn't get the nomination, and then he ran again in '88, and again, and then that's when the scandal hit, and he wasn't the Democratic nominee again because of the scandal.
So now this was at a time when a scandal like this, it was a sort of an extramarital affair scandal.
Yeah, again, like alleged because neither to this day neither one of them both of them claim it never happened. So
Okay, got it. And so
yeah,
this
so
was
alleged.
one of the first sort of kind of scandals of its type. It was before all of the scandals involving Bill Clinton, from Jennifer
Yes.
Flowers to all of those scandals. So this was sort of an
This was the first time like we cared about it because it's not like it wasn't going on.
right,
Like it's not
right.
like presidents weren't having affairs. It was just we overlooked it. As a country, we were like, that's not important to us right now. I mean, look at,
Hmm.
whether we don't, whether it's true or not, like JFK and, Marilyn Monroe and all these rumors and whatever. And it just wasn't something we cared about. And so this was such a significant time because it was the very first time that we were like, oh, wait a minute, we do care about this actually. Like, what are the morals of the person who is going to be president? And it changed everything.
Now your decision to sort of not do an imitation of Donna Rice, or to, was this a decision that was made because the allegations were, or that the statements from both of these two people were that this never happened? Was that part of your thinking in terms of sort of playing sort of a woman in this situation as opposed to the specific woman in this situation?
Well, I remember when I got the role, like a lot of people were interested in meeting or talking to the real life people. I know that Hugh was speaking with Gary Hart like a lot. I think he went to go visit him on his ranch, and he spent a lot of time with him. And I I I remember I was talking about it with Jason, and I was like, well, what should I do? Should I speak to Donna? And we both decided that it was just more important that the story be authentic than like mimicking someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think would have gotten away from like what is was really important, which was like just showing people, what happened to this woman and just like empathizing with her, like just like uh feeling compassion for her situation was the number one most important thing, and not like making sure that like I got her like cadence right or like whatever. Um so I think that was more important than just like really nailing the exactly who she was.
It's interesting because it's like if you do go with like the imitation of the real person, then you might end up in that territory of like, is this making fun of this person, or like the way that they
Right.
speak, or like the way that their hair was done in 1988 or whatever. And then
Totally.
you're sort of taking away maybe from, so that instead you're sort of focusing on the humanity of what it might feel like to be in that position as a woman.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly how he felt. Like, obviously, for certain roles and certain people and characters, like, it's necessary. Um, and, nobody does it better than the queen, Meryl Streep. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I mean, bow down, yes.
yeah.
But I felt like for this, yeah, I just wanted people to empathize with her, and just yeah, I thought it was more important that people, yeah, I understood her story, and I think that you're right. Like sometimes it can feel like not a caricature; it can feel like a caricature sometimes, and kind of maybe the message wouldn't have been received as clearly or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a tough choice as an artist or as an actor in that situation to, yeah, to sort of navigate that. And you enjoyed navigating that process with Jason Reitman.
I did. Yeah. I mean, was, I'm such a big fan of his, and I had auditioned for him for so many years, just like
Oh wow.
really wanting to work for him. I think I've auditioned for like almost every single one of his films. And so when I was going in again, I was like, okay, I was like, I'm gonna be reading for him again. I'm like, I don't think he remembers me, but it's important to me to do a good job. And then I already knew about the story, and I already knew about Donna Rice. And so when I read the script, I was like, this is just clicking for me. Like I just can relate to this woman so much, even though I've never been in that situation. Our situations are different. I think that all women can relate to people thinking that you are a certain kind of person and putting you in a box and then getting trapped in that box forever.
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of people in general can relate to that. So, yeah. So when I went in and read for him, I was just I was excited. I was so excited. He really has a way of like working with actors and speaking to actors that even in the audition room, I'm like, oh, it just feels so like nice and um, easy.
That's great. And how about
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman? That must have been, I would imagine, probably a great experience, right?
He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like, and to be that famous and be that nice is crazy. I mean, every day he was like passing out gifts to every single person in the crew. Every Friday, he would bring everyone like candy and pass out things, and he was just so nice. I was like really intimidated at first just because I'm like, oh, holy shit, it's Wolverine. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god. And he's like 6'5", he's like huge and like hulking, and he's just like the nicest, most down to earth person. It's pretty amazing. And so hardworking too. I mean, just so like committed to what he does. It's pretty inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah, that's great to hear. It's great to hear that,
Yeah.
that you can have such a great experience with somebody who has that amount of sort of um, power, and that their charisma isn't just a thing that they do that they
Yeah.
turn
Yeah,
on and
no.
off. If it's because it's like who knows? I think everybody we meet in the business, it's like you realize that this is either a thing that they do
Or it's who they
or
are.
it's who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like I've gotten pretty good about like sniffing that out. Just
Yeah.
after working with so many people, and I mean I've been doing this for so long. I feel like I'm pretty good at like gauging that, and he's just really I think he's that's just who he is. I think he's just a really nice guy.
Yeah. Maybe he's just a fan as much as he is a movie star and everything else. It's like if you love what's fun about show business, you're able to
Yeah.
then you're just excited to be there. You're not
Yeah,
pissed
I think
off
you're
that
right. I think you're totally right, and I think that's what it was. He just always seemed. I remember like I'm doing this scene that didn't make it in the movie, and I'm like on the phone talking to him, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, where are you? Like, what's going on? Like when the scandal breaks, my character is like, what's going on? Like, why am I here? Da 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 da. Da. And the big stars are never on the opposite end of the phone for the phone conversation. Like it's like 8:30 at night, we're doing this scene like last minute, it got pushed into the schedule, and I'm like crying on the phone, da da da. And they're never it's I mean, I'm sorry, but like a lot of times they're not there. It's just
yeah,
like somebody else reading the lines for you because his version isn't on camera.
right.
And I get on the phone, we start doing the scene, and I'm like, oh my god, what? And I'm like, what? Who is this? And he's like, it's Hugh. I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
You came in like this late at night just to say two lines on the phone? He's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Wow.
That's a great story. That is a
Yeah.
really cool story about him.
I was like, who the fuck am I talking to right now? This guy sounds awfully like awfully a lot like Hugh Jackman. And he's like, hey, it's me. I'm like, what? Where? I was like, where even are you? He's like, undisclosed, secret location. I'm like, okay.
I love that. That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
All right, and so then your next project is this film Blonde, which is by Andrew Dominic, who's the writer director of Killing Them Softly and The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, and the movie that gave Eric Bana his big break, Chopper. He may be one of my favorite writer, same as
I know.
Jason Reitman. So Blonde is about Marilyn Monroe, but it's a fictionalized chronicle.
I don't really know how to explain. Yeah, like I wouldn't consider it like a biopic, however, however you want, tomato, however you want to say it. But it does sort of like loosely follow her life from childhood to, the end. And I play her adoptive mother because, I mean, if you know the life of Marilyn Monroe a little bit, her biological mom, I believe she was diagnosed with a mental illness, and she was placed in a home. I think she was institutionalized for the rest of her life. When Marilyn was a little girl, and then when she left, her mother never returned, and so she was placed in foster homes, and passed along. And she had a very sad childhood, and so I play in the movie her adoptive mother, and I can't really say if I'm a good person or a bad person, but
you mean you're not allowed to say at this moment, sort of thing?
Well, I don't want to give it away just because it's kind of complicated. But but I am and have always been a huge Marilyn Monroe fan. My whole life, ever since I was a little girl, and so to be part of this movie, and I am a huge fan of Andrew Dominic as well. One of my favorites was such a cool opportunity. I can't wait to see Ana de Armas plays Marilyn.
Yeah.
And when I saw her on set, and oh my gosh, the costumes and everything are just amazing and to the T. It's she's come to life. It's pretty amazing. So I cannot wait to see how the film turns out, and I think it's cool that I got to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, totally. And it was one of these scripts, I guess, that had been around in Hollywood. There were a lot of people who were going to play Marilyn. Right.
Yeah, I remember, I auditioned last year and then I filmed last year, but I had originally auditioned for Marilyn 6 years prior, years before. And then I was like, wait a minute, this never got made. Oh my gosh, wow. So, I don't think, I don't think that I could play Marilyn, obviously, but I think that Anna just has killed it, and it's gonna be so good.
That's really exciting. And when do you know when that's coming out now, or?
I don't know what's going. I mean, I'm sure everything's maybe halted because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like everything else. But I imagine in the winter of this year, because it's Netflix, and I think it is going to festivals. But I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But because I don't even know what's going on with festivals. I know they're doing Zoom for Toronto or something.
They're doing I know they're doing online screenings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. South by Southwest maybe did that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I imagine in the winter it'll come out.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, thank you. Thanks so much for coming on and doing this show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's always great chatting with you. I'm excited to see what's next for you, and I wish you continued success in addition to safety, good health. I hope you have a nice rest of your first year being married.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And same to you. Stay safe, stay sane, wear a mask.
Well, there you have it. My conversation with Sara Paxton. A big thank you again to Sara for doing it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Before we move on to our second interview, I'm going to take another opportunity to ask you all to please subscribe to this podcast wherever you're getting your podcast from today. We've got more incredible interviews with folks like Ryder Doyle, Tembi Locke, Vinnie Chibber, and Elna Baker coming in the next couple weeks. Remember to subscribe to our Patreon to get all our extras with Chris Pine, Melissa Fumero, Baron Vaughn, and more. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/thingsaregoinggreatforme. If you like what you hear so far, please give us those 5-star ratings. Leave us a nice comment. We so appreciate all your ratings, reviews, and kind words, and we want to keep bringing you these great episodes.